And welcome to another episode of the Bandit Room. My name is Caleb. I am not Charles. He is absent today, but I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Agie.
What's up?
And our special guest, Mr. Dean Shreve. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
We know you from EFS, WEX, Fuel Card. We have you integrated with a couple of our products, primarily TruckLogix.
The important question to ask is,
Yes.
when did you get hooked onto bourbon?
Oh, is that what we're talking? Is this a bourbon episode?
That was actually very easy to answer. So I was born in Kentucky, and bourbon was my cough medicine when I was a kid.
Because the reason I asked that
simple.
question, because Dean is the one who introduced me to bourbon about
really?
8 or 9 years ago.
Whoa.
In Louisville. So I can't remember the name of the bar, but it was in that downtown, not downtown, what's the area called?
Live on 4th or 4th Street Live.
Yeah, 4th Street Live. And we went to a bar, and after dinner, Dean organizes this dinner every year at the truck show in Louisville. And we had a nice dinner, and then we went to this in the 4th Street Live, and we went to a bar, and Dean said, "What do you want to drink?" At that bar, that was a bourbon bar, and I was not into bourbon at that point. And I guess Jack, he goes, "Jack, come on, man."
He wanted to say something with gin in it, but that wasn't going to fly.
So then that was it. That was, over 8-9 years ago. And now I got like a $140, $50 bottle collection going on. I had to just go buy a new cabinet to start putting the ones that are sitting outside the cabinet. So yeah, it's a good habit that Dean introduced me to.
So it's all Dean's fault.
It's all Dean's fault. Yes,
Okay.
yes. You can also take the credit for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dean,
I'll do both.
let's talk about bourbon a little bit, and then we'll come back to work stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's talk about bourbon.
Yes,
I'm always up for talking about bourbon, as you well know.
yes. How's are you still into collecting? Are you just
I am not a collector, but I am a seeker of a good value in quality bourbon.
right?
Okay.
Right.
So I do a bit of. I don't buy anything on the secondary market, and that's fine for people who do.
Right.
I totally understand that.
Right.
But I buy it for the enjoyment of it purely. I'm not a collector,
Right.
but I
Okay.
know what I like, and sometimes I'm willing to pay a little bit for what I like.
All
So,
right.
Okay. What do you like?
that's a great question because sometimes there's something that just absolutely stands out, right? And as soon as I say that, I try something else, and I'm like, oh, this may be the next one, right? I do like several. Can I mention certain products?
Oh
by
yeah,
name?
man.
Okay.
We are hoping to
Okay.
get some sponsorship. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, absolutely. Let's talk Wild Turkey. So Wild Turkey makes a really, really nice bourbon for the price called Rare Breed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that it's underpriced.
It is underpriced.
For how good it is,
Dean,
but it's
I'm on my
underpriced for how
third
good it
bottle
is.
of that one.
There you go. And
So it's fantastic.
And I've got 2 unopened sitting on the shelf right now that will be open shortly. So, but I think for something that's really high quality, that's a really good value. Love that bourbon. There's some others that I like too. They're a little bit harder to find, so that's why
Okay.
Wild Turkey Rare Breed kind of stays in that spot for me.
You think it would have been different for that bottle if it was under a different brand name than Wild Turkey?
Yeah, if they put Buffalo Trace on it, it
Right.
would be way more expensive.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
I just happened to randomly find that bottle when I was in Ohio. I said, what's this? Let me try it. It was fantastic. Went and bought the second bottle. We finished it at a party there, and then I just got my third bottle, which is open. So it's. I was thinking from the branding perspective, it was not Wild Turkey, and probably be like chasing after that stuff right now. But it's pretty good. But maybe we need to go get a bottle for our collection here.
Yeah. Why not?
What have you got over there?
Nothing special.
Oh, you
But-
got a Jack Daniel single barrel. You got
Yeah.
you got a chicken cock over there.
Yeah. We haven't added anything to it in a while, so I got to bring. Once I'll see what I can put inside my new cabinet. Whatever cannot fit in there, I'll bring it over here. Because
Sounds
I
good.
can trust Caleb and Charles. They're not gonna. They're not a big connoisseur of having afternoon drinks.
That's the reason you can trust him. Okay, I get it.
The only time I drink in the afternoon is with you. So.
That's right. Now, Dean, we're talking about the secondary market. Last night we were at dinner, and one of our buddy who has a friend. He's also I know him now, and he's a big buyer and seller of hard to find liquor. And we saw the price. We heard the price, and it was 3 times or 4 times what retail is.
Mm-hmm.
I have bought maybe 5 or 6 bottles. I think all of them from him as a resale thing, just to put it in the collection. So why is it that you don't indulge in that?
Probably time more than anything else.
Right.
It is, to me, it's almost a luxury, and that's great.
Right.
I have other things that I got grandkids. I've
Right.
got a boat, Right.
Right.
I've just got other things that I tend to spend my time on.
Right.
That being said, if I wanted to put a wall in my house and really go after it, I might be willing to do that someday. As it is, I've probably got 40 bottles of bourbon, which is more than I'll be able to drink before I die.
Right.
Probably all but about 6 of those bottles are open,
Right.
and anywhere from, a quarter down to 3/4 down. So, I'm a drinker, not a collector.
Sure.
Hey, listen, every bottle that I have, anyone comes into my house and depending on how much I like them, I'll be pointing to 2 separate cabinets. I'm just open anything you want from here, man.
Yeah. That's that. Well, you want people that really are going to appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah.
And like you, Aggie, you were open to the idea of trying bourbon.
That's
so
right.
It worked out.
Yeah, I mean, we had Stag 14-year last night. Was it 14-year?
I think
18-year. I can't remember what it was.
No, we didn't have the 18-year. That was what your friend had.
Okay,
texted
gotcha.
to you.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, we had Stag, formerly Stag Junior, which is a high proof, high quality bourbon.
Yeah,
It was
pretty
super,
good. It was
super
super
nice.
We were playing golf and drinking bourbon last night.
Whoa.
Yeah.
At the
At the club,
yes.
at the in-town golf club. But it was good that we took an Uber to get there. Because that 140 proof got in pretty quick.
Yes.
Then we went for dinner at the a place called Steak 48 in Charlotte. It was fantastic.
It was.
What did we drink there? I can't remember what we drank.
We drank their orange old fashioned.
Oh, that's
something
right.
Like that.
I can't remember what we drank there, but yeah.
Yeah.
It
It was good. It was a little sweet, but I did like the kind of citrus that
Yeah.
came across from it.
right on. I might have to go there next week to actually try it and check it out. That's all. We'll see. All right, cool. Now, are you into anything else other than bourbon? Do you try Scotch?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few bottles of Scotch as well.
Okay.
Now they're doing a lot of single malts here in the U.S. So I've had a few that are pretty good, and it might be a while before we start kind of bragging over to Scotland, but hey, the Japanese do it very well. So
Yeah.
there's and certainly I think our climates and what we can do in a distilling environment, high temperatures, and some of the things that different parts of the country can offer, we might be able to have some really superior products at some point.
Right on. Is that something that you're going to start after you retire from your current endeavor in the trucking industry?
I probably thought about being involved in distilling bourbon about a half a second, and I tell you, I'll leave that to the people who really know how to make it well,
Right.
and wouldn't mind partnering with somebody who's doing that. But as much as I like what I like, I would hate to be the person deciding what something's going to taste like for someone else. That's,
Have you done the Bourbon Trail?
I have not done the Bourbon Trail. It is on my bucket list.
Okay.
I have, however, done Jack Daniel's twice.
Okay.
And what an amazing adventure. Just the history of Jack Daniel's, the personality, the fact that it's in a dry county,
yeah.
The fact that he died by kicking his safe, gave him gangrene in his foot. I mean, and the guy he was very diminutive. He's only like 5 feet tall. And he appears larger than life on the bottle, but
Right.
they have what's supposed to be a life-size statue of him at the distillery, and he's pretty short. Coming from a short guy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I want. One of our friend did that a couple of years ago, and he was raving about the whole thing. I definitely want to do that too.
Yeah, well, we should do it together.
Let's do
Agie.
it. Let's do it.
There you go.
Let's do it.
My wife is even kind of up for doing that. So
Yeah, we'll take care.
anytime I can get the wife
Four
along,
of-
that's
four of us can go.
that
do
makes it all better.
Let's do it. They can drive.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can tell you right now, my wife won't be drinking any bourbon.
Carrie likes to sip it, just to taste it, and then she'll say it's good or bad. But I've got her into bourbon very slowly. She likes smooth ambler a lot. It's easy to drink. A couple other ones that I got, she likes it, but she doesn't go and get a shot of bourbon. But she's a good driver,
There you go.
so there you go.
That's all we need.
Problem solved. All right, I know Caleb is itching to talk about work. Go, Caleb.
Yeah, work's my favorite. For someone who doesn't know, what does WEX EFS do?
That's also a great question, Caleb. So, first of all, WEX is a relatively old company. I mean, you can go back over 80 years, I believe, to kind of the first company they were. But they kind of reevaluated themselves, and they opened some unattended fuel pumps up in the state of Maine. They had 6, and that little company here 50 years later is now the largest provider of fuel card and financial services to the trucking industry, the largest processor of MasterCard transactions in the world. And we are an international company, a global company. We have offices in Singapore and Sydney, I believe, several offices in Europe. We're in Brazil. So it has evolved from a fuel-intensive company to we have a large corporate payables division. We have WEX Health. My wife works for a company called B of A, and they use WEX Health. So it's a big growing part of our business space. We're also into accounts receivable financing in the trucking world called factoring, and there's a few other key businesses that we're in, and we have been acquiring a number of different companies over the last probably 10 years. It had some acquisitions before then because that's kind of how WEX got into the fuel card space that I've been involved in for years, which is really the heavy trucking space. They bought a company that I was with called Fleet One in 2012, I believe.
Okay.
And Fleet One was the largest provider of fuel cards to small fleets. They were built for that. WEX had a bit of a hard time getting into the space, and that was a good opportunity for them. So they bought a really quality name, continued to do really well after they purchased the company, and then a couple of years later they had an opportunity to buy EFS, which was significantly upstream from where Fleet One was. So they had a lot of large clients, and after the purchase brought even more large clients over that were using other competitors at the time. So it's a big and growing company. You would probably never believe it, but their ticker symbol is WEX. and actually that is now their logo, and it really was short for Wright Express, which was the original company name.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Very cool. You work in the fuel card division, or your role there is sales?
No, it's National Strategic Partner
Okay.
Acquisition.
Yes.
So I am the person that most parties deal with on their first kind of conversation around partnering with us.
Okay.
It's a great gig.
Nice.
And I've been in the business at least I started in the business 35 years ago.
Nice.
So I'm getting long in the tooth and gray in the beard.
Yeah. You've been there a while, like Fleet One and now EFS. I was just curious, what keeps you, I mean, it's a good gig, but like, so it keeps you in that space doing what you're doing?
First of all, transportation is a little bit like the mafia, right? You think you're going to get out, but they keep pulling you back in. And it is it's a quality company, and I've been given a lot of free reign to make decisions about what I do and how we go about partnering. And it kind of fits my personality profile. I get to meet and work with a lot of great partners, Agie. I get to help them. I get to learn their businesses. I get to help them with this phase of their business. And, I've got a lot of partners that have made a lot of money kind of going this route. So, and I think the other thing is, trucking is a very family type of business out there, right? Many trucking companies, the kids are running the companies that dad started with one truck years ago, that sort of thing, right? So to kind of that end, I've always kind of felt this little family tug around transportation, and it's just kind of kept me here. Even when I left transportation, I was still working with transportation companies. So, before I was in transportation, I was in the hotel space. We can talk about that too. But after I got in transportation back in 1988, my next gig was with another fuel card provider. And then my next gig after that was with Omnitrax through Qualcomm. And then my next gig after that was with Celex. So I was selling phone lines for wide area network connectivity. I was selling fiber, stuff like that. But I kept calling them trucking companies. So, I just couldn't really get away from it. So, and then I had this opportunity kind of come before me to get back into the car space with Fleet One. A guy that used to be a field sales guy for me, he didn't work under me, but he worked with me. He became their SVP of sales. And we had a conversation. He's like, I've been wanting to do something over here where we could work a little bit more upstream. We have all these great small clients,
right?
But, we don't feel we're limited to 1 and 2 truckers. We feel like we can also go after 50 and 100 and 500 truckers, right? So we started that division, grew that to several field salespeople, started to make some great headway, and the rest is kind of history. Now we're just an even bigger company because of WEX, and it really have gained a lot of tools from EFS's exposure to large fleets.
Fantastic. Did you ever actually get into any of the actual trucking business, like owning any trucks or fleets or?
No, I was close enough to it that I knew better than to do that. Yeah. No, listen, the people that know how to do it well, I commend them, because it's a tough business, heavily regulated.
Yeah.
Bless every driver's heart. I love drivers. Man, it's a tough job,
right?
And I would say it can pay well, but it does pay. I will say this, drivers, it pays to be a good business person,
right?
And really understand, what you're winning from every load that you're hauling.
Right. So we talked about this last night quite a bit. We can expand on it a little bit. As part of TruckLogix, we are expanding heavily into the reporting side of the business. Have the intelligence for them to see what is this load going to bring in? Is that going to be a profitable load or a profitable routing? Or is you're going to take a loss? It's best to walk away, or whatever that is. So that's we are heavily investing in that, bringing a lot of AI into it. So the whole focus for 2024 is to have this intelligence built for the fleets. And none of our competitors are doing that right now, and we wanted to be ahead of the game on that. And I think that'll be great for them, especially smaller fleets, mid-sized fleets. Rather than blindly just taking every load that comes along, they can actually decide before they do that based on the intelligence that we're going to provide.
It's needed.
Yep.
It's too hard to make those decisions when you don't have the full picture.
Correct.
So if you can bring that all, right to the smartphone of a driver, you are in business.
Yep. That's exactly what the plan is. Now, what is the status of the trucking industry as of today? Because few months ago, there was everyone who talked about trucking was shortage of drivers. Now you're saying it's the other way around now.
Yeah, and the reason it's the other way around is that so many drivers have left the space to be an owner-operator. So many trucking companies here in recent months have gone out of business. And it has left this pool of drivers that are looking for work. And unfortunately, if you're in that pool, the larger companies that are hiring, they are looking at it as, well, I can now effectively choose who I want,
Right.
as opposed to I need somebody to drive this load
Right
now, right?
Right.
So it's really changed the dynamic. The market's been really depressed for quite a while now. Certainly all of this year, probably even part of last year, and we've just now started to see maybe a couple of signs of a little bit of resurrection. Of course, we don't need any more headwinds. We don't need any more wars around the world that bring everyone's antenna up and alarm us and make us make other decisions.
Right.
But right now, we need a healthy trucking economy, and we need it because inflation is really tough on a lot of people right now, and truck drivers, they deliver everything that we see.
Right.
It's just we need it to be healthy.
Right.
And fuel prices getting a little lower would certainly help that. Freight rates getting a little higher would certainly help that.
Right.
And right now we have pretty much the capacity to haul the freight that's out there. So that's not where we were just a few years ago.
Right.
It was anybody wanted to get in the business a few years ago
They could get in.
because you didn't even have to know a whole lot. You just had to get the freight there, and boom, I'm making money. But that's not the case now.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Now, as part of staying very close to the trucking industry, have you come across a fleet owner or owner operator, and you hear their stories of how they're running the business, and then do you go in like, oh, dude, stop right there, or whatever? Have you gone into anything in that direction?
Well, interestingly enough, I talked to Caleb about this a little earlier in the day with regard just to the fuel card aspect, right? Guys see this card and it looks like a credit card,
Right.
but that's just the mechanism, right? It's not a credit card at all.
Correct.
It does have some pretty interesting front-end requirements to allow you to have credit with it, but there's options like prepaid or cash deposit, or your factoring company can work with your card provider, et cetera. But I think there's a big story there, right? If I'm new to the industry and I've never used a fleet card, then I don't get why. Why is that any different than a credit card? So it's a completely different mechanism. It allows you to save by getting cash price, not credit price. It also allows you to save because they can do point of sale discounts. There's a lot of discount providers that work with fleet card companies to do that. And it also can help with other parts of your business, just the security of your purchases, fuel taxes, things that if you're new to the business, you haven't had to deal with before, and it puts you on at least the right footing for that sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
Hey, small businesses. Do you have a robust, integrated solution to efficiently and securely file your Form 1099, W-2, W-9, 1095, 94X forms, and more? Don't worry about creating a solution. Let Tax Bandits handle it for you. Tax Bandits goes beyond just tax form generation and e-filing. We also offer robust validation features to ensure accuracy and security throughout the process, with address validation and TIN matching. Tax Bandits is even SOC 2 certified. With Tax Bandits, tax calculations are automated, filling out your forms accurately and submitting them to the IRS, SSA, and states seamlessly, all within your account. Plus, we allow you to give your clients convenient access to recipient copies via postal mail or online access. Visit taxbandits.com today and join the ranks of successful business owners who are using Tax Bandits to e-file their tax forms. how over the years has kind of the fuel card space or EFS or even trucking kind of changed? Where do you see it going in the future?
Probably the biggest changes because trucking has underutilized technology for so long. A lot of new money has kind of come into the space around technology, and that brings a lot of ideology. People who think that they know certain things, and what I would say to any of those companies out there, make sure you have real truckers in your midst. Make sure you have people who are from the trucking industry in your midst, or you could miss entirely what you're going for, right? So that, I think, is the biggest thing. Obviously, there's more talk about autonomy in trucking, autonomous trucks being able to haul certain types of freight, certain places. That will become a reality. In heavy trucking, certainly EV is a ways off, and may not even be the ultimate technology that heavy trucking goes to. Time is money in the trucking world, and waiting around to charge, that's time.
Right.
So I think there's things. Those are probably the biggest things. And there are some new things out there. Trucking management software is getting very specific. It seems like you guys are affiliated with some trucking software, some trucking management software.
Yeah, we are.
TruckLogix is a great little integration with us too. So people who use any of our card platforms can take advantage of that through the TruckLogix model. But I think those are probably the biggest things, Caleb. And I do see a time where if these parties will really think about what happens in a cab of a truck, right? How do I make this guy's life easier? If they'll focus on keeping it simple,
Right.
making the decisioning processes that driver has to make simple, that will really change the face of where trucking is today and where it's going in the future.
Very cool.
I read an article not too long ago. Food at truck stops, it's typically not very good, and there was a big push to figure out a way to provide healthy food at truck stops. Do you have any information in that?
I don't have any information in that. I would say that healthy food options, when you think about the truck stop diet,
Right.
traditionally, truckers, men and women,
Right.
are hardy people with hardy appetites
Right.
and sleep apnea.
Huh.
And I think, trying to bring that consciousness to the truck stop's a great idea, but it's probably only as good as how well it's executed.
Right.
And you can find healthy options that you can really enjoy, and you can find healthy options that just make you like, I don't want to eat that. So,
Right.
yeah, I would love to see, Guy Fieri or Emeril Lagasse or somebody start to cater those meals
Right.
for at least what the plans that are. Hey, they do it for cruise ships, right?
Right.
So why not do it for trucks that get a real chef
Right.
and show your cooks how to execute real food that is both healthy and attractive and tasty.
All right. Well, there may be an opportunity here, Dean. Let's
Maybe.
talk about it. I'm just trying to find some stuff for you to do once you retire.
Well, my youngest son fancies himself a chef, but
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
You're not so sure?
Yeah, he's all right.
That's funny.
So I tried to get a CDL a few years ago.
Shame on you.
No, just part of truck tax, to part of being in the industry. Not to go have it this as a career. But then I found out I have to go to school for 6 months. I said, I can't do that. So I just walked away.
Yeah.
But I did the local technical college. They did take me around because they teach trucking over there. So they got us in one of their trucks they use for teaching, and I didn't realize there were so many gears.
Oh yeah.
God.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, when I get into the business,
Right.
I didn't know anything about trucking.
Right.
This, like I said, is 1988, right?
Right.
And yeah, I had no idea they had all those gears
Right.
in a truck. Nor did I know all that they went through. You know, there's if you've never been to the back of a truck stop, the pumps are different.
Right.
The nozzles are different. The velocity that the fuel comes out of the pump is different. By the way, big trucks have 2 tanks. And when you talk about time is money, well, you got to fill both tanks at the same time. So they even have satellite pumps, so I can go to both sides of my truck, push that fuel in there, right?
Right.
And be on my that stuff like that just blew my mind.
Yeah. My 94 F-150 has 2 tanks.
Well, it does.
I need to go find a pump station where I can pump both of them at the same time.
Yeah, you can just make some truckers really mad and go use their thing. They get so mad at you. That's like online. All they complain about is 4-wheelers and other people using the wrong fuel lane to get their.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's pretty funny.
Is that a situation? Is that a problem?
Well, you know, a lot of RVers
Yeah.
like to use those high-speed pumps, partially because they can get some fuel discounts.
You are in that business too, right?
Yes, yeah. Now, the RV space is a little bit different. I can't sell to an RVer directly because they are consumers, and my company only works with commercial entities.
Gotcha.
So there are some challenges certainly in the RV space. I think some really smart people are figuring out ways how to handle it. So. But yeah, RVers, you know, they like to go through those lanes. They have a little bit bigger tanks, and they'd like to get out there quick. And I think as long as they're courteous and kind of start to fall in line with how truckers get in and out, everybody will be okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they complain as much about those things as other truckers who park in the fuel lane and go inside and do whatever they're.
Yes,
they complain about all that stuff. Anyway, it makes sense. It makes sense, but.
That's like a regular thing, right? What else do they complain about?
How
about fuel prices?
Yeah, to a certain extent, especially in certain states where things are a lot higher.
In your business, higher fuel price is better for you, or?
Yeah, ironically, you know, so we're typically doing very well when fuel prices are high, and. You know, at the same time, we know that that's negatively impacting our customers. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's beyond our control. So it's a windfall when it happens.
Right.
We don't have any control over it, and when prices go down, we're happy for our customers. So we just, you know, it's a tightrope that we walk. Part of one of the reason that WEX is diversifying their portfolio, so they're not held captive to fuel prices.
Okay. So is WEX getting into buying any oil company, any oil fields, or
not that I'm aware of? No. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if that's a great business for them to get into. Since we are a provider of the service we provide, I'm not sure if that's a
right.
If we should have our hands in the kitty on the oil production side, right?
Right. Cool.
Makes sense.
Dee is also a big time boater. He's big into boating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do like to boat.
Yeah. We both had the same brand of boat, but then I sold mine.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And he didn't sell it to me.
Yeah.
I would have bought it, but he wouldn't have sold it to me because I would have bartered him down way too low.
I sold it within like 2 hours of listing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a family drove down from Green Bay, Wisconsin overnight, not stopping, came in, took a test drive, and gave me the money, and then drove back with the boat.
Wow.
Well, the demand for boats during COVID was just through the roof. Still through the roof. I think it'll probably start to come back down to earth here a little bit. And we saw similar things, not necessarily as due to COVID. Here in the last year, I mean, tractor prices and trailer prices had gone through the roof. Used car prices have gone through the roof, right? So there's all of these things that are going on, and certainly they'll all come back down to earth.
So what is an average price of, let's say, a 2024 Peterbilt or 2023 Peterbilt?
Depending on how much you deck it out, 150 to 200,000.
Wow.
Maybe.
Okay. Huh.
And trailers, they had got actually a Peterbilt may be less than that now. I'm kind of thinking about where prices were back at the beginning of the year, but just the fact that there were so few to get your hands on, the demand was so high, that and now the market is probably being a little bit more flooded with equipment and trailers because we've had some pretty significant bankruptcies. So that'll change the.
So if you are in the business of buying tractors and holding on, reselling, this might be the time.
Potentially, yeah. If now that prices should be starting to come back down, there could be some opportunity there. I'm not making any financial advice recommendations, but that could potentially happen. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So now, when we were getting started, you said something about you're a certified radio technician or studio technician.
Yeah.
What is that?
Audio engineer.
Audio engineer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, now we know what that is.
So I went to a school that had one of the top recording industry management programs in the country, MTSU, Go Blue Raiders. And that was a fantastic college experience. I was already in bands. I was touring a little bit and actually going to college to do what I was doing kind of made sense.
Right.
And met some great Nashville people that were my professors, met people that, were friends in college that have gone on to certain successes in the music industry. But the audio engineer piece of it, I always found interesting. I was always kind of the person who wanted to break open like a radio and figure out how to put it back together and stuff like that. So it kind of fit my nature to do that. I was already kind of doing it in our live music space, because we would have a mixing board when we go to a live concert. So I had just learned what I'd learned. Well, you get into a school with professionals who are talking to you, and you're like, oh, that's why, So it definitely is something that I enjoyed doing. I don't do it any longer. Once you step out of the music space, and you step into another career, especially trucking, you're gone. You don't really go back. So, so when I take that back because I do have a few friends who have been in the fuel card business who have kind of stepped back out and tried to get back into their music roots.
Right.
So
that's cool. When you were in that industry, and then were you already in Nashville, or were you?
I was. Yeah.
So you didn't try to get into the country music?
No.
stuff?
No. In fact, I was just a kid when my parents transferred to Nashville. Now, I did already play guitar. I took my first guitar lesson at the age of 7. I am not saying I'm a guitarist. It's kind of like my financial advice. I'm not saying I'm a guitarist. I'm saying I'm adequate.
Right.
And I was always the singer.
Right. Okay.
I went to MTSU on a voice scholarship.
Well, there you go, man.
Nice. Do you still play and sing at all?
I play just a little bit of nothing. Still sing in the shower though. And my wife would say that I always have a tune going in my head. She's always like slapping me because I'm thumping my fingers on something or my head is rocking because even if there's no radio on, there is a song going on up in there.
Well, how did you, make that jump from music to trucking stuff? Was it just the job that opened up? Or?
Well, back in those days, first of all, I worked my way through college by basically being a desk clerk for Holiday Inn. And what I found out was that when you're just getting started in the music business, one, you don't get paid very much. 2, you get the grunt work. So I was working for a studio. I won't say the name, but I was doing live audio recording of some really great artists. Some Joe English, former drummer for Wings, Sandy Patty, one of the biggest gospel artists ever, among many others that I can't think to name right this second. But so in doing that work, it did teach me a lot. But then when I had like my own time, well, my time started at like 1 a.m. So if I had a project that I wanted to work on, it was from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. before the real engineers came in and did the real work, And then and on those projects, I might be moving mics around or something. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fun, but it didn't pay well. I was newly married, and I had to make some decisions. So
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thanks for everyone for listening to this episode of The Bandit Room. Stick around and see what we talk about next time. The Bandit Room is a production of Span Enterprises, located in sunny Rock Hill, South Carolina. We've been developing, supporting, and growing successful IRS e-filing and business management solutions since 2010. Go to spanenterprises.com now to learn more. The views and opinions expressed in the Bandit Room are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect or state the opinions of Span Enterprises. No information should be considered as tax, legal, or other professional advice.